Hello and welcome. And it is the 19th day of September 2019. This really isn't going to be anything much about technical analysis. And I'll start off by stating why do you or are you considering all that type of stuff investing into things like gold, silver, and cryptocurrencies? Or maybe it's one, two, or all three, or none of those. And if it's none of those, then you ask the question, why not? Or are you in the process of considering getting in all that kind of stuff? And the thing I've heard a lot over YouTube over the last, what's now 12 years. I'm very close to my 12-year anniversary of the quote unquote wake up. And really a little over that for gold and silver, as that was the summer of 2007, and the wake up call was October 30th of that year. And I've heard it all. People talk about, oh, the shit's going to hit the fan. So therefore, you got people not only preparing for the shit to hit the fan, but they're also waiting for it as well. And being realistic, those whom are doing that are literally going about it not only the wrong way, but to less efficiency. Because if you were to prepare for the shit to hit the fan, well, as long as you own a fan somewhere in the house or you have an opportunity to buy one, it really wouldn't be that hard. Okay, enough jokes aside, that's just being literal on the situation. But understanding that events of such could very easily come into play. If you don't hold gold, you don't hold silver, you don't hold cryptocurrencies, and next thing you know, you see, well, we're already seeing it, but how prices can go higher. But what we haven't seen is any substantially large increases that has been shown or been done in other countries and past generations, but currently in places like Venezuela and even several other countries as well. And those who have studied history, and referring, of course, to the monetary level. Of course, there's other forms of history and even other forms that would work within the monetary side of things in specific forms like world wars and all wars and other miscellaneous things. But almost everything in the world is reflected upon the monetary system as it is. You can look back at different points, like say what happened during the 1930s. 1932, going off the gold standard, understanding things like the London gold pool and Nixon, temporarily taking us off the gold standard. And what all those things meant in 2009 and 2008 when we had the Great Recession and the Great Recovery. And now in viewing the monthly chart, this is what it was back then. And that's now that's a while ago now. That's well over a decade. Well, it's noticeably more than a decade ago. September 11th, 2001, now over 18 years old. You're at the stage where you need to be close to 30 or older to really have any nice recollection. Well, let's see, 18, 25, 26 probably. You have to be at least in your mid 20s right now to have any recollection of the events that take place. And then as the days, years, and months go on, it'll go into your 30s, 40s, and so on and so forth. For myself, I was working a midnight shift on September 11th. I got off at 7 o'clock in the morning that night. And then, well, for myself, I don't know why I did this, but I happened to get up at I would probably fall asleep at 8 in the morning. And I got up at 12:30 or 1. I don't know why I went to my living room to turn the TV and internet on. Well, internet, but why I turned the TV on. And then I'm seeing all these things going on. Well, I didn't go back to bed that day, and well, that's my recollection of it. Everyone would have their own, at least those whom were around. But history has went into place. And, well, during these times of 2001, 2, 3, 4, 5, the internet was relatively brand new. I can remember stating back in here, August of 1997, I remember saying the internet, it's going to be the next big thing. And so it goes. And as the internet has been evolving, social media, information more importantly, well, it's been available But then all of a sudden, when YouTube started, back in here, 2006, well, this is where I was wrong. I figured the internet would be big. Yeah, it was. I wasn't too bullish on YouTube when it begun after a year. I felt a lot of short clips, the bad quality, and I mean, there's nothing really out there that I really want to see. And it's, well, it was that. And then as it went on, it got really big, and as the gold market broke out, interestingly enough, that's where, and then the information to how fiat currency is created, what central bankers have done and are doing, has now become readily available. So it's no coincidence that the sale of silver bullion and gold bullion, but more from my research of numbers, mainly silver, really started to explode as we went into late 2007. And as the days go on, more and more people, of course, are figuring out this information. And that's just how it's going to go. Back in here, hardly anyone, or back in here, how many people would refer and know what a fiat currency was compared to today? And it still might be a low number, but nowhere near on that low percentage as it was back then. And after this crash in 2008 occurred, this whole Bitcoin thing came into play. In the early days, it took a lot of them to buy a couple of pizzas. And a lot of them, I think, was like 5 figures in Bitcoin. Some large number. Of course, now Bitcoin prices over 10,000 US dollars. And are people just getting in it because it's just something different? It's something new? Or, well, I like fiat currency, but this instead. And we haven't seen any major breakdowns occur, of course. And when it came down to 3,000, that was just a mere matter of making that of a higher low. And now viewing it on the weekly. But there was no breakdown, showing that, well, there's still people, of course, wanting to get into it. And when you consider that a diversification, not putting all of your eggs in one basket, by owning a little bit of everything, well, if gold and silver do very well and cryptos actually fail, well, what you put into cryptos will obviously fail. As, of course, any fiat currency you have holding back as well, if such a shit hitting the fan scenario actually does present itself. But your gold and silver holdings, spectacular. And to have them all do well. Oh my goodness, my gold, my gains, my silver is doing well. The Bitcoin, the LITECOIN, this altcoin, that altcoin, all doing well. And making good amounts of gains when you look at it. And anytime you want to liquidate it, you turn cryptos into this and you sell gold and silver into that. And well, of course, you're doing so at better prices, then that would be making a gain on your return. And of course, you're trying to do so against the inflationary level. For if I was to buy X amount of silver for $1,000, and then X amount or Y amount of time later, I get $1,250 back with 35-40% inflation, I'm actually losing, but I'd still be doing better than holding cash, though. And more likely, the reason why a lot of people are holding, well, it's not obviously it's going to be there to protect you. But when the gains do come in, it's more likely that when you have big gains, like 2, 3, 4, 5x gains, they are going to highly be larger than what the real inflation is going to be. You see the price go up, say, 10 times. There's no way prices on everything else will be near that. Maybe double, maybe 1.5x, 2.5, but either way, it's all going to be a gain on your end as an investment. And if you want to play, if you look at a means to an end, maybe you don't have the cash available, you don't see cash coming in where you want to get to that goal of silver and or gold that you're looking to acquire. You can get some, which is something you really would like to have, but in playing the crypto game, especially if you take altcoins, find ways of trading them back and forth in a creative way, and there's several ways of doing that. And then you get the gains, and Well, there is a means to an end. In the United States and Canada, at least, it's very easy, at least as of right now, in the end of the third quarter of 2019, to turn precious metals, excuse me, to turn cryptos into precious metals. So, for example, places like JM Bullion, I would guess, and in the United States and in Canada, like Silver Gold Bull, you go in there, you put your order in. Okay, check it. Oh, how do you want to pay? Do you want to pay credit card? Do you want to pay via your maybe a bank, whatever, bank order? Or do you want to pay PayPal? Do you want to pay Bitcoin, Litecoin? Oh, Bitcoin, Litecoin, maybe Ripple, whatever's available. Okay, and then you do that. Okay, let's turn 1.1 Bitcoin into this, or zero point 0.1, or maybe a Litecoin, or 10 Litecoin, all that type of stuff. And thus, days later, oh, I got a delivery guy in a FedEx or whatever other truck company, and there's a box with metals in it. And you can do things like trade coins against other coins. This case is Litecoin divided by Komodo. And when you look at these up and down choppy moves, oh, hit down here, up there, up, it just keeps making these up and down moves. You get free coins. Not, you don't really get, yeah, you get free coins, but you earn coins within the game of trading. And altcoins have been in a tremendously big bear market. And before I get into that, just notice in this that the charts tell you that probably there's a good chance that Litecoin will do better than Komodo in the upcoming couple of weeks, but we'll see. For this is what Litecoin and Bitcoin looks like. Of course, down at this level like it was before. But if you were back in here saying, oh, 2015, even at this high, especially I should say, when you're in here in the start of the summer of that year, that means you would have went half of that year, the rest of that half, all of 2016, and around the first quarter of 2017, close to 2 years of this thing just declining and declining and declining. But regardless of if you trade this against Bitcoin, against the dollar, or against any other altcoins, you're able to flip coins back and forth so that when an eventual bull market happens, or a big run, there is it right there. Well, there you can start to, okay, time for profit taking. And, oh yeah, by the way, the game you might be playing, oh yeah, turn into gold and silver. Well, this might be where you turn some of those coins into such an asset class. So in a case like this, it means when prices hit some of these upper levels, then that could be one of those times. And same thing if you're looking at it against the dollar. As right now it's 76, and maybe when it's 300, 1,000, you're like, oh, let's turn it into gold and silver. And there's a ratio that you can look at. Well, what's Litecoin divided by this, or this divided by Litecoin? And I guess you do gold divided by silver, or Litecoin divided by silver, at least for now. This is what it would be like. And especially if you're starting, say, back in here with that, you were into Litecoin 2014, 2015, all of these years, you could have been saying it was so due back in here to go higher. And 1 year later, it did. And then when it did, it had spectacular plays towards the upside. But it meant in here that the ratio would have meant if you would have taken your Litecoin to buy silver, you would have needed, depending on where you were, 4 or 5 Litecoin just to get an ounce of silver. And then up here in this range, well, now all of a sudden, with 1 Litecoin, you're getting close to 3 ounces. And, well, now we're talking double digits that were occurring for one single Litecoin today, 4.3. And then if you play some, like, real shit coins, and when I say shit coins, maybe they are bad, and maybe they become very fantastic. But maybe find a word that would have higher volatility potential on it. And when holding coins like this back in here, I have GRS and the dollar divided by silver multiply 480. Now I'm multiplying 480 because that's how many grains are in a troy ounce. Or how many great grains. So right now, 1 GRS will get you 6.33 grains worth of silver. But the volatility larger numbers of X gain is really what it comes down to. Where if you're playing this game, it doesn't matter if you started well, back in here it would be even better, but just throwing aside, February 2016, all the way in here, trading this against the dollar, against Bitcoin, against any other altcoin, like say Litecoin, for example, and yet this happens and all the markets go up together at the same time. I mean, this went up, of course, it went up really big in here, but it meant, say, if you had, well, whatever you have for per 100, but this is the handle of, say, 47, and now you're deciding what to do here when the handle is, well, put it this way. If it says 0.47 is 10x, 4.7 is 100x. So this was like a 100x move. So to say you can get 50, 60, 70 times more than you would have got back here. And if you were trading this successfully back and forth, maybe you've doubled or tripled the amount of coins that you own, or even higher than that, because there's a lot of volatility. And then that would be just a magnificent point. And then to see that it went up another 10 times higher, more than that. So therefore you could do situations where you could put in as little as like 100 or 200 bucks, 300, 400, and end up getting a whole whack of pressure, like enough where you have to buy a nice size safe just for what you're able to get on your $200, $300 playing the game. It starts off, okay, you put in 200, next thing you know, you're just making an okay or small withdrawal, keeping your crypto game going, and yet you're buying, say, $4,000 worth of cryptos because of the tremendous gains that can occur. And of course, when playing this game, as we start right now, that means, do we see these prices up here happen? Or do we see these prices down here happen? And if the prices down here happen, you're like, okay, how do I limit my risk so that, well, I don't get hurt on this move? Meaning, well, whatever I put in, I'm just not going to invest more, so I can't lose anymore. Or I'm going to control my playing. So if I end up seeing these prices go down, I get paid here, I'll put in this little bit amount. I'm preparing for the fact that that's the situation. So I know in case it does do that, I can accumulate more on the way down. And if it does something like that, where it goes, say this goes down to like, say, 3x lower and then 10x, 20x higher, I'll get more. All that type of stuff. And yeah. So why? That's a good question to ask yourself. And I'm sure a lot of you have figured out different reasons for why it is. After all, probably wouldn't be watching this if you're not into at least one of these things. But I find, like Peter Schiff was mentioning before, like months and months and months ago, before gold was starting, the reason why gold wasn't going up, or one of the reasons anyway, it's that the people are just going into the whole Bitcoin situation and thus leaving gold away. And like as I getting them together, either the case of buying them all, like I'll best buy a bit of silver, buy a bit of gold, buy a bit of cryptos, or let's get into cryptos and then use it or some of it to build up a gold and silver or silver portfolio. But again, what you decide to do is your own decisions. I'm just stating that at this point, it's not hard to liquidate and distribute your precious metals for the real physical metal that can be delivered to your door. So again, if you want to prepare for the shit hitting the fan scenario, well, the literal way is just get a fan like this and, well, accumulate what you need for it to hit the fan. That's easy. But as far as what the term is meant for chaos, especially within the fiat currency model, if these prices go up higher, you see it go 30, 40, 50, 100. I've heard people talk about having to sell it and its difficultiness, especially because I guess it's so expensive, or the fact that why do you want fiat currency where, if anything, if you think of it, well, I would be selling it for fiat currency, then I'm going to head over to that store, buy this and that. That sort of thing. Okay, well, that makes... that's basically what you'd be doing, but it's easier to sell when these things are going on. Back in this run here, well, it was easier to sell silver when it was going north at 25, 30, 40, 50 than it was on the way down. And from before, Same sort of deal. And if this thing breaks this, or I should be saying when this thing noticeably breaks by above that resistance point, and you see it moving up 75, 80, 120, 180 kind of deal, and there's going to be a flock for people wanting to get in. So now you go to, you try to find creative ways of selling. Maybe it could just be simple as like putting in online advertisements, talking to people amongst the community. Oh, I want to get into silver. Everyone who's late to the game, and you're the ones early buying. Well, now you accumulate so much more that this individual wants to make a significant purchase, maybe 20%, 30% of their investment ownership that they own. And you're barely getting out of your silver at all. And now you're taking this cash and you're buying this boat, or you're doing this, you're paying off this debt, you're doing all those sort of deals because you were the ones that were able to accumulate it when the prices were significantly lower. So when somebody's buying a 10-ounce bar from you, well, that's the amount that you paid for it. Well, it was a lot less, of course, when the prices are that much higher. And of course, again, easier to sell at that time. Thank you for tuning in. Have yourself a great day. Bye bye.